You're watching E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video, we're going to discuss the Mortal Kombat trailer that just released today. And boy, I liked it. I did. I thought it was a very, very good trailer. And Sub-Zero and Scorpion, mainly Sub-Zero, were the biggest highlights of this trailer for me personally. I played Mortal Kombat. It was my preferred fighter growing up. I wasn't really big on Street Fighter. I mean, I like Street Fighter, but when Mortal Kombat came out, that was my preferred game. The violence, the mechanics were so different, very unique, and just the lore. The lore behind Mortal Kombat is just insane. And to see this trailer, you know, I liked the first movie. First movie was a lot of fun, okay? Obviously, I needed an upgrade, and I gotta say, what I saw in this trailer today was a big upgrade. If it wasn't for anything else, the fact that this movie is rated R, has violence, and has fatalities is enough for me. Now, the trailer in and of itself is, you know, there's still a lot to kind of understand as to, I haven't been following the back end of this movie like some other people might have, or like I follow the back end of Godzilla and the Monsterverse. So I don't know exactly which story they're going with, but what I can say is what I do know, this one is going to have a new character. That is the main character. His name being Cole. And I'm not 100% against this. I don't know why they wanted to go this route. Now look, I've always wondered to myself, when I watch movies like in the MCU, or I watch movies like, you know, the DCEU, or anything that has a lot of lore, mainly comic book stuff, right? Because that tends to have a lot of lore, years and years. You know, I've always wondered to myself why they never take advantage of introducing a new character in the movie that's not necessarily in the comics. So I'm not against the idea of bringing in a new character for Mortal Kombat and introducing them in the movie as opposed to the game. But with this game, it's a little bit different because depending on what kind of story they're going to go with, or at least what kind of story they're going to lean on, there are so many characters that you can yield from. Now, there are characters, as far as I know right now, that we're not getting in the movie. That doesn't necessarily mean they won't be in it. Like, for example, and we're going to get into Twitter in a few minutes, but I went on Twitter and there were a lot of people wondering where like Katana was, where Johnny Cage was. And look, you could always assume that either A, they might have small cameos and have a bigger role in the sequel, or some people are assuming that Cole is going to kind of take the role of what Johnny Cage would have been. Not sure. What I do know is at least it's something new and fresh. And something new and fresh doesn't always mean it's a bad thing. Unfortunately, there are some fans, a good number of them at least. There's definitely a lot of people excited after seeing this trailer with good reason. The scenes between Scorpion and Sub-Zero themselves are incredible. And on top of that, you know, there's some other shots of just the fighting sequences, the violence, the amount of blood also looks good. They even show some of the fatalities in the trailer if you have a keen eye and you look quick enough. I looked over the trailer about 5 times and I could specifically see a Kano ripping out the heart of what many people believe to be Reptile, and they're not happy about that. But again, you know, knowing that the Reptile character is not just one character but a full race, as far as I remember, I do know they rebooted the series for Mortal Kombat 9, and while I did play some of the newer, most recent ones under that universe, I haven't played them nearly as much as I played like Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, Mortal Kombat 3 Ultimate. So that was kind of like my main, you know. So you know, I think people reacting to the trailer out of context is a little bit ridiculous, but that's not uncommon. A lot of people do that now. I just don't think, I think it's just the initial emotional reaction you have to watching something you're looking forward to, a trailer, is that rather than take a step back and take a breath and say, all right, I could be taking this out of context, maybe this isn't what it seems, people just automatically, their first reaction, emotionally driven. But even with that, this movie looks far superior than the first one. And I am a big advocate of the first Mortal Kombat. I think it's one of the best video game movies out there. But it's aged, and it hasn't aged well, in my opinion. I saw somebody on Twitter say that they were so upset because of how Scorpion and Sub-Zero looked, and that they should have the old, the old outfits from the first movie. And I thought to myself, if you put the Sub-Zero and Scorpion from the first movie next to these ones, the first ones are going to look like cosplayers. Not to mention the outfits have evolved from the first movie all the way up to the newer, from the first game all the way up to the newer games. And these two looks in this movie look more akin to what we see now when we see Scorpion and Sub-Zero. It was very important for them in the game to differentiate them over time, especially with their growing popularity. The old Scorpion and Sub-Zero looked identical. The only difference being one had a blue portion of the suit. The other one had a yellow. So this movie, they look very distinct from each other, not only because of the color scheme, but also because of the design. You know, Scorpion in the trailer is wearing a hood, whereas Sub-Zero has the original headpiece with the mask. It looks better that way. It just does. It has fatalities. Okay, it has violence. This is something the original movie never had. And to the original movie's credit, people like that movie a lot, despite the fact that it was missing key elements from the game. I thought it was a good trailer. I thought it was very good. I'm looking forward to the movie, and I think that and I'm going to get into this in a minute here. I think they're obviously taking a creative direction with the story, which is understandable. The Mortal Kombat lore changes so much, and there's so much lore there, and it does change, from spin-offs, to even people making their own creative, forms of Mortal Kombat media that some people take seriously, even though it's not technically canon, and the fact that the Mortal Kombat was rebooted for Mortal Kombat 9, and it's funny, I went to Twitter because I was ready to meme on Snyder cunts, Yes, I went there because the other day, the Mortal Kombat released a slew of all these shots, 4-second shots of certain characters and very nice design. And there were some Snyder Cut fans that went on there and decided that they wanted to complain again about now Mortal Kombat taking the reins, or the fact that Warner Brothers was pushing Mortal Kombat and not the Snyder Cut, because they're entitled. And I'm going to do a separate video on that. I know I mentioned that I recorded my Snyder Cut review the other night, and now I'm going to redo it again because I want to add something else in there regarding the Snyder Cult fan base. But when I went there this time, I was more surprised to see the amount of Mortal Komtards. Yes. So lots of complaining on Twitter, and it was kind of comical. It is really fun. I have to admit, I don't go on Twitter a whole lot, but it is fun to go there and watch people complain about the most trivial things possible. So Molina was a big complaint amongst a lot of the Twitter fans or the Mortal Kombat fans on Twitter because she doesn't have her teeth showing and things of that nature. Look, this is more of a development for the newer games. Mortal Kombat 2, Molina's teeth never showed until you did her fatality. And this is a possibility that they could be doing for this movie. Another thing is, this is a 1.5, 2-minute trailer. And there's evidence that Molina has scars on the side of her mouth, or something happening to the side of her mouth. So just because you don't see her teeth, and just because she's not opening her mouth wide to chomp somebody up like she did in Mortal Kombat 2, does not mean you're not going to get that, or that you're not going to get her teeth, showing that the way we recognize her in the game. Another complaint is Jax's arms being ripped off by Sub-Zero. I don't even know why this is a complaint. In the original lore, Jax had his arms upgraded voluntarily. He did it on his own. This is going from Mortal Kombat 1 to Mortal Kombat 3. Mortal Kombat 3, he had the metal arms, and that was something he did on his own. Later on, they changed it so that in the reboot, Ermac ripped his arms off, and then in Scorpion's Revenge, it was Goro that ripped his arms off. So it's been changed before. I don't remember people complaining about it for the game, so why are we complaining about it now for the movie? And quite frankly, I'm partial to the older ninjas. So the fact that Sub-Zero's ripping his arms off, I think is great. Not a big Ermac fan. I think Ermac's garbage. Sorry. I'm very, very for the old school ninjas, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Reptile. Once they went beyond that, I was like, okay, I'm done. You had Smoke, Rain, Noob Saibot, they all had to have different colors. It's like, okay, I get it. We love ninjas, but how many freaking ninjas can you come up with? I understand. So that's just me. More complaining. People were not happy that the original music from the first movie was not in this. Would not fit. The first movie was very cheesy, and it's very cheesy music that went with it. And when I say cheesy, that's not a knock. I believe in cheesy goodness. I believe cheesy. Look, Godzilla fan, hello. Grew up during the Showa era. Okay, I know everything about cheese when it comes to movies in terms of, so that music would not work in this trailer. Not at all. Nope. So, it's nostalgia. People get stuck in nostalgia. People don't like change. People like what they like. I don't know why you would want to see something that was already made. We're getting something new. But again, people are entitled to feel the way they feel. More complaints that I saw, people complaining about Reptile getting his heart taken out. Well, at least that's what it appears to be. Again, context. We need to see the full movie before we can automatically assume that it's going to be the Reptile we know and love. And as to whether or not that's even at any point in the movie where, that could be the climax. Maybe Reptile has a big role. Maybe, he has a lot of kick-ass fights that we haven't seen. Can't judge a potentially 2-hour movie on a 2-minute trailer. You can't do that. You can, I guess, but it makes you look like kind of an idiot. It's like you got to step back, breathe, let the emotions, and then kind of look at it slowly and say, okay, look, I don't like what I'm seeing here, but to fully judge it, I got to see the movie first. So a lot of, and not all of them, there's some Mortal Kombat fans that were on Twitter that were praising the hell out of this. And I don't blame them. Already, to me, this is going to be better than the original Mortal Kombat, simply because of the fact that it has fatalities and violence. The story, look, it's Mortal Kombat, okay? This is not Oscar worthy. Let's be honest here. We're not going to get, a story. The story is cool, but think about game stories versus like stories that we want to watch play out on screen. It's a little different, a lot of people don't get into the story of games as much as we might think. I think it's people who have a love for the game or love for a specific genre that really get into the lore. For example, I love RPGs. So when I play an RPG game, I get into the story. I get into the lore. But if I play Street Fighter, I'm looking to kick someone's ass. I don't really care about the character's backstory. Does he have a good Hadouken? And I got into the lore of Mortal Kombat, but more so the first part of it because I thought it was very interesting. To me, it had a more interesting story than what Street Fighter had to offer. And that's not to say I didn't even get into Street Fighter's story because, I did watch the first original Japanese movie and I thought it was really good. But for the most part, most people do not care about the story. Most people want to see these fatalities play out on screen. They want to see their most favorite characters have a spotlight and nothing more. And it's that simple. But, we're not going to get a groundbreaking story here. In fact, we're probably not going to get a lot of story elements we got in the game. And, I think that's fine. So I love the trailer. I thought it was great. I'm looking forward to it. April 16th, HBO Max. Yes. HBO Max got a lot of good things coming. We got the Snyder Cut. And we have, Godzilla vs. Kong, and now we have Mortal Kombat on the way. I think that's 3 good titles for, we're going to be able to see them over the course of 60 days. I'm all for it. So what did you think of the Mortal Kombat trailer? I thought it was good. I'm not hell-bent out of shape for some of the things I think people are complaining about, but they're entitled to complain. I just think they need to give it an opportunity, give it more, let the context play out during the full movie. And let me know in the comment section how you feel. Until the next one, this is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.
Thank you for watching E.T.N. Click here to watch more content. Don't forget to leave a comment. Also, make sure you like and share this video. If you want to know when the next video is up, click the notification bell next to the subscribe button. And most of all, make sure to click that subscribe button for regular content.